Hello guys, Vlad from Lithuanian Irons is here and welcome to my handmade tattoo machine workshop. In this series of episodes I'll be building custom tattoo machines from scratch, showing all the steps from start to finish, sharing the knowledge and all the information about that, so it will be really interesting. Stay with me. Here's my rough sketch of how I want this machine to look. In this episode I'll be mostly focused on building the frame. So decided to use this 40 years old wrench for my side plate and also have this 4mm thickness old rusty fence holder that I will use for machine base and maybe back wall. Also have this heavy construction piece and I'll be cutting the tube vise part from it. So first of all I start building my tattoo machines from this base part, which is one of the most important. I'll draw how it looks from the top and give you my measurements of it. So it's simple rectangular shape with one extended side plate. It has two holes for the coils and one more for the future grip vise. Its total length for this project will be 68mm, width 16.8mm, and these distances from the back to the rear coil hole center, then between coils and up to the grip vise hole center. This distance will be like 17mm here, because I need to leave the space for the rear angular wall, then 19.5mm between coils, and 17.5mm from the coil to the grip vise hole center. And the width, together with this wider place, will be 19mm. This wider place is for the side plate, in this case it's wrench. Okay, so first of all, let's cut this base piece from this old rusty fence holder. I mark an estimate width that I need to cut and its length too. Then, using my angle grinder, I cut it out. It don't have to be super accurate now, just slightly bigger is fine. Let's grind it out and remove the rust from it. I use my cheap grinder here. My main goal is to make both flat surfaces clean and straight now. This will affect of how accurate the final frame will turn out. I finish out both flat surfaces with the sandpaper to have them really straight. And it's time to cut the final shape now. My angle grinder is the main tool for that, so something like that will be fine. Okay, let's mark the hole places and drill them out. First of all, I use 2mm drill bit to get an accurate hole locations. Then increase the holes with a 4mm drill bit for my screws that will hold the coils and also make the same 4mm hole for the future grip vise. Okay, let's remove some sharp hole corners by making small chamfers. And now I use this plate to mark this fat tube vise part. Let's just cut it out now. I use 1mm steel cutting disc for that. It's strong enough and cutting fast even such fat steel pieces. I also grind both of its flat surfaces to get them clean and straight. Let's come back to the sketch again. I have my base plate and this fat tube vise part ready now, so next I need to weld them together. In case to do that correctly, I have to cover both of their connection surfaces with a special welding alloy and then weld them together into one piece. I use these special flux covered rods for welding. They have brass and silver mix alloy inside and their melting temperature is around 740 degrees of Celsius. Okay, so it's time for the gas torch. I use propane and oxygen mix here to get these temperatures. I'm heating up the part until it gets slightly red and apply the welding alloy then. Just make sure it melts and fully covers an area I need. And do the same for the next part, just make sure not to overheating the steel, otherwise connection will be weak. Okay, so I let to cool them down a little and then place this fat tube vise part on top of my base plate, making sure it's aligned well. Okay, and heat them up together until the alloys start to melt. I'm focused to get them same temperature. The bigger and more fat parts always need more attention. When an alloy starts melting, the top fat part starts sitting down by its own weight on my base plate and aligns with it by itself. Next I clean up the flat surfaces again, and while I have the 4mm hole for the tube vise, I will drill it through the fat part too. I apply some oil on the drilling surface and my 4mm drill bit and drill the hole by slightly rotating my part left and right. That way it centers out by itself and makes a straight hole. Then I do the same drilling with 6mm drill bit, and the final is 8mm drill bit. I drill it slowly to get the most accurate hole. When base holes are ready, I clean and grind my part to get it closer to the final look. I use a sandpaper disc for that, mostly focusing to get straight surfaces and making nice shape of it. Okay, so the base part is ready. The next step will be making this rear angular wall part that will hold the spring shelf. I'll cut it out from the same piece of fence holder, clean the rust first and then just cut the piece I need. Align the parts by leaving around 0.2mm gap between them from my alloy to weld them together. I have this small anvil that I use to get 90-degree angle. Fine. Then I clean the welding place to see if my alloy does not have any air bubbles and so on. This looks fine. Okay, so I have this part of the frame ready. Next I have to make this spring shelf, then prepare my wrench for the side plate and make this small rear binder shelf. So the spring shelf I'll be making will look like small rectangular from the top, with the center hole and M4 thread inside for the spring screw. The distance from the hole center to the front side of the shelf will be like 10.5mm. Its total length 19.5 and its width, same as my base, will be 16.8mm. Okay, for the thickness I prefer it to be like 6mm. I have this small piece of 6mm thickness steel, so let's just mark its size and cut this part from it. As usual, I clean it out with the sandpaper because I need it flat and straight. Then find and mark the hole center and drill it with 2mm drill bit first, and then increase the hole with 3.2mm drill bit for my M4 thread, and making sure it's cut through the whole part. Next I want to clean up this old wrench and remove all that old paint from it, so I could weld it to my frame. Okay, so let's check everything one more time. This is my base part with the rear 90-degree wall. This is the spring shelf. Yes, I will have to shorten the height of the rear wall because it's too tall now, and then cut a piece of this wrench and weld it to the frame. I use this welding block that I've created years ago. It helps me to keep parts in places and in the right angles while I'm welding everything together. But first I have to make some kind of ear on my wrench for this top binding post screw. I have found this small part from my other projects and think that it will fit great here. I just need to shape it a little bit better for my wrench. And also I can use this rectangular piece for this small rear shelf. Okay, so let's firstly shape the ear for the wrench. I just slightly cut these sharp corners so it could fit better. Let's check it. Yes, it fits perfect now. I place the wrench on the welding brick so it won't move and add this ear, align it a little better, still keeping small gap between the wrench and the ear for the welding alloy. Fine. And then just weld them together. I'm mostly heating up the range because this small ear heats faster, I don't want to overheat it. Great. Let it cool down, then clean it with a metal brush and cut out this extra piece of the part. While I have everything ready for the final frame welding, I screw all the parts on the welding block, making sure everything is aligned and have small gaps for the welding alloy. Then check what part of this wrench I need and cut it out. Then align everything as a one piece and weld them together. Starting with the rear shelf, heat it up and fill the gap with an alloy. Then switch to the side plate, weld this wrench to the frame. And the last goes this small rear binder shelf. I use small cheap electronics holder to hold this part while I'm welding it. Just make sure that all gaps are filled with an alloy. And it's done. I only feel that I want to add a bit more strength for this wrench side plate. Let's firstly clean it up and grind this side of the frame. Like that. I've decided to add an additional support here that will make the wall frame stronger and look cooler. I will use this nail and weld it to the frame here. Okay, I'll shape it for the frame. Like that. And just cut unnecessary pieces of it and weld it to the frame. So it's finished now. All I need to do is to finish out the frame shape. I want it to be with the rounded corners so it would feel and look cooler. I'll speed this process up a bit. Then I'll just finish the frame surface with the smaller sandpaper to remove all deeper scratches. Fine. I still need to make 6mm hole for my rear beaming post and also 2 or 3 1.5mm holes in the spring shelf for the future clipcord connection and the side hole for the grip vise thread. Firstly, I drill it with 2mm drill bit and then increase it with 4.3mm drill bit for an M5 thread. I also need to make a cut for my vise. I will cut it through the center of the frame. Just make some marks for myself. And also make one more small 3mm hole to the right side of the cut, so it would be a bit easier to tighten this grip vise. Okay, so let's go and drill this hole first. Then I fix the frame and make this vise cut. I make it by hand, just holding my angle grinder straight, and cut it up to the hole. Okay, great. Next, I drill one part of the frame using 5mm drill bit. And cut M5 thread in the other part of the frame. For the last steps, I will remove all of these sharp frame corners using this small file. And while I decided to paint this frame using powder coating, I finish up its surface with the sandblasting. It cleans everything out and makes some nice texture for the paint. I just only cover some of the frame places that I don't want to be powder coated. I use simple paper and paper tape for that. Fine, let's go and paint it. I've done this small powder coating booth from an old oven, added an air filter, and it works well. So I make sure that the frame is fully covered with the powder now. Then place it to another oven for 10 minutes in 200 degrees of Celsius. So the powder will melt and stick to the surface. And done! It's finished now. The only thing I feel that it looks a bit too clean for my taste. I want to add some vintage feel to it. Usually I do that with the sandpaper, just making some scuffs on the paint, but now I want more like a damaged effect. So I will scratch the corners of the frame with a knife to make it look more like worn out, damaged, and so on. That gives that vintage feel to it. And when it's done, I prefer using this Vladislav gun blackener and apply it to the scratched naked metal areas to make them black. That gives even more like an old vintage effect. Apply it on all the scratches and repeat it a few more times to get deeper black. So, here's the final result. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, so hit the like button, subscribe, let me know in the comments below. In my new episode I'll be making the hardware and finishing this machine, so stay tuned guys, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!